At the G3 conference, in assembling of big brains, I asked them the question, should evangelicals be all or nothing regarding the life issue? No baby steps. We either outlaw this thing or we accept nothing else. Or can we, biblically, be incrementalists? Just take what we get, keep working, keep chugging, because saving one baby's life, 10 babies' lives is better than saving no lives. I addressed that question specifically to Dr. Voddie Baucham. What would he say to the person who insists, no incrementalism, just it's everything or nothing? What would Voddie say?
What I'd say to those folks is, that may be true in the way that you look at it from a biblical theological perspective, that anything other than that is not righteous. Sure, that's great. Anything other than that's not righteous. We can agree on that and still recognize that there are people who don't understand that, who are trying as best they can to work out their worldview in this particular issue. And what we have to do is help them to work out their worldview in this particular issue, so that when the person goes from point A to point B, and they're not all the way over here with us at Z, we can simultaneously say, we're at Z, you're not at Z, and at the same time say, glad you're not at A anymore.
Now, I have spoken to many people who are all or nothing folks. And again, I'm sympathetic to that. I get that. It feels like a compromise. It feels like we're sending the wrong message. So I dare to challenge Voddie. All right. What do you say then to the person who responds, incrementalism? We don't do that with other forms of murder. We don't do that with rape. Hey, we're against rape, but we'll take this piece of legislation that doesn't completely outlaw it, that just seems kind of incongruous. What would you say to those folks?
I think that's a false dichotomy.
Okay.
I don't think it's an actual either or situation. I think that we have to be wise in the way that we deal with people, in the way that we exercise our stewardship as citizens, and sometimes in being wise in the way that we exercise our stewardship as citizens, we have to help people understand things more slowly. So we never stop holding to and preaching the truth. That's not an option. We never hide the truth. We never deceive people. But at the same time, there are times when working with people and working toward the truth means meeting them where they are and being grateful for the progress that they've made. So I don't think it's an either or, but kind of a both and, as this is not something that we just do. This is something that's it's going to take a while. It's a process, and not everything is the same in every place, in every locale.
Dr. Voddie Baucham took the football, handed it to Scott Kluesendorf, who continued running with it.
The pro-lifer who supports incremental legislation is not deciding which children die and which children live. The federal courts have already decided in Roe versus Wade, the Casey decision, and others, that no unborn children have a right to life. The courts have already dictated that from on high as the default position. So when people say to me, do you want the federal government involved in the abortion issue, my first response is, do you include the courts in that? Because the federal courts are very involved in this. So therefore, the pro-life legislator who approaches a bill, let's take one for example, that doesn't outlaw abortion in cases of rape and incest, but protects all other children. He is not the one deciding which children die and which one live. He is limiting the evil done insofar as possible, given the realities he's forced to deal with politically. And I think that lines up biblically with Ephesians 5, exposing evil deeds rather than leaving them covered. I believe it lines up with the whole teaching of Scripture that we ought to promote good insofar as we can. And I don't think then that the pro-life Christian legislator who would support an incremental bill, if he is indeed or she committed to protection for all children, is compromising if he or she supports a bill that limits the evil done and promotes the good insofar as possible.
Scott Kluesendorf hosting our new 13-episode pro-life TV show. If you would like to support that, and we sure hope you will, visit wretched.tv.